cleanest of clean finishers from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
4 months into December, the festive season is well and truly underway, and as we kickstart another weekend, just a reminder to play it safe and to keep it clean. We don't want to lose any lives this festive season. It promises to be a wonderful weekend of sport, especially here in Zimbabwe, where there is Champions League action. Yes, the CAF Champions League, where Zimbabwe champions FC Platinum, Pure Platinum Play Kugona Kunenge Kudada will be featuring not at Mandava but in Harare at the National Sports Stadium, and their midfielder, star player Ralph Kawondera, says his side is ready for their preliminary round second leg encounter against Mozambique's Costa Do Sol tomorrow afternoon. We also have some international sports news for you. The inaugural Nations Cup is set for a thrilling conclusion as the tournament's only two unbeaten teams, England and France, clash in the final on a Sunday. Just two events that you can look forward to, local and international, and the team is here to pick those apart amongst many others. That team is Barry Manandi, Christine Midzi, and of course our football pundit, former Warriors international, that is Alois Bunjira. Our producer is Sean Tafrinika, and my name is Mike Madoda.
We'll also take you around the world in 60, starting off in Australia, where concussion substitute Yuzvendra Chahal took 3 crucial wickets as India beat Australia by 11 runs to win the opening T20 at the Manuka Oval in Canberra. In England, boxing promoter Eddie Hearn says Tyson Fury should be coming to Anthony Joshua versus Kubrat Pulev to research his British heavyweight rival. And in Bahrain, George Russell believes he has the hardest shoes ever to fill by standing in for Lewis Hamilton in the World Championship winning Mercedes at the Sakir Grand Prix.
We'll take in our play of the day. Then it's time for the beautiful game where Jose Mourinho says his 100% managerial home record against Arsenal means nothing as his Tottenham side prepare to face their North London rivals on Sunday. In the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich take on RB Leipzig tomorrow night in a top-of-the-table clash which could prove decisive in terms of the title picture. In La Liga, Real Madrid will attempt to bounce back from successive defeats when they travel to Andalusia to face Sevilla tomorrow afternoon. And we'll also look at the action out of Serie A, Liga 1 and the DStv Premiership. All makes for an exciting edition of ZiFM Sport. But as always, our power play. Today's Fire Friday. We call upon Jason Derulo. This one's featuring Nuka. It's the Tampa Bay beat. It's called Love and Not War.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
You know, I was on Twitter the other day and someone was just saying that there's a big difference between the voices of these radio personalities and how they look. They sound so flash, sound so great, but my goodness, when you bump into them, you might be in for a shock or two. Well, listen, don't get shocked when you meet us, okay? The easy way is to follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. Just simply search for Chris Midzi, Barry Malandi, and Gazaman14 for Alois Bunjira, Sean Tafrinika, myself, Mike Madoda. And you know exactly how we look, whether the voices match the faces. Now, let's get into the news out of the home front. Preparing for that big game at the National Sports Stadium, which unfortunately is going to be played in an empty stadium. No fans as a result of the COVID pandemic. FC Platinum midfielder Ralph Kawondera says that his side are ready for their preliminary round second leg encounter against Mozambique's Costa Do Sol tomorrow afternoon. Early in the week, the Zimbabwe League champions set up base in the capital ahead of the return match set for the National Sports Stadium. FC Platinum coach Norman Mapeza believes their camp brought a number of benefits for the team. Mapeza says he has been impressed by the team spirit during the closed-door session in Harare in preparation for that CAF Champions League match. Now let's hear from the coach, who also spoke about the areas he expects his team to improve on tomorrow afternoon.
We work much on what to keep in Mozambique, and we tend to look for those problems. I think there was a time when we just started, especially in midfield. So we tried to talk to the boys about that. Then we also talked about the issue of set pieces. There was also a time where I think we were considering unnecessary set pieces. So we also spoke about it with the boys. I had time. Now it's about 5 days.
Well, Norman Mapeza's men won the first leg in Maputo 2-1 thanks to a last minute goal there, which gave them a very strong position, Alois, ahead of the encounter tomorrow afternoon. And Norman Mapeza want to see the job done.
Yeah, of course, that was actually a good result away from home. We never expected that. We thought that it was going to be a very tough match. In the end, they actually got a very valuable victory. But it's not going to be easy. Coming back, it's still going to be the same situation. He's still new with the players. He's still getting used to the players. So they got a win, yes, but the job has not been done yet. It can actually be turned around. So they need to be very careful. They need to be very conservative as well to protect that lead. And going into this match, I think that's what they are going to be doing. I don't think that they're going to be extravagant and just start going all over the place. And I'm hoping that the National Sports Stadium is going to be in a very good condition as well. Let's hope it doesn't rain, because when it rains, I'm not sure about the drainage system at that stadium at the moment.
And Barry, Norman Mapeza talking about set pieces, saying that they're going to have to do better at set pieces. Now, if they want to maintain that lead and even build upon it, Norman Mapeza has pointed out that area as an area that his team needs to improve.
Yeah, certainly, and I can understand why. And it's not just to do with the technical and tactical issues. I think it also has a lot to do with even the physiological issues that FC Platinum and indeed all Zimbabweans have, because we're small people, just naturally. And so you look at Petros Mari, who's their first choice goalkeeper. He's a small guy. You look at Give Bello in the heart of their defense, again a small guy. So you don't want to be conceding set pieces that are going to then challenge you, whereby you've got to make win duels in the air. You'd rather do that when it's coming from open play, because then you've got a bit of an advantage, because the players are running onto the ball and all sorts. But when it's from a set piece, then it's a like they say in coaches training, it's a standard situation. So a standard situation, it's something that's been prepared on the training pitch, and you don't know what to expect. So I can understand why he's saying that. Avoid it. Make sure that they hold on to that lead.
Well, it's kicking off at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon at the National Sports Stadium. I was going to urge you to be there, but if you do show up at the National Sports Stadium, there will be no one to let you in. But what you can do is send us your predictions. I'll remind you of our WhatsApp platform, 0731 168 045. That number again, 0731 168 045. Now, Chris, it's nice to hear FC Platinum talking about their ambitions for this year's campaign. As we know, they've sort of at least progressed to the group stages in the last 2 editions, but they've never got out of the group stages. Now they're talking about, we want to go one step further and get to the knockout stages. So it's nice to hear that from FC Platinum, especially last week when we were questioning their ambitions in this particular competition.
I think they might have been listening to ZiFM Sports and figured they should let us know exactly what their ambitions are. I think this is their 3rd time going out onto the continent, and as such, it's important that they continuously improve. They've gotten to the group stages, they need to get past the group stages, and after the group stages, they need to get to the knockout stages. And once they do that, once there's that consistent progression, then we can start to see FC Platinum really competing on the continent. We know that they compete at home, but I think at this point, what's more critical is their performances in Africa.
Yeah, performances in Africa, to be honest, that's where we will judge FC Platinum and whether they are making progress as a club. Norman Mapeza is back, Alois. He's a hugely experienced coach. He's a winner. You played with Norman. You grew up with Norman in Chitungwiza. You played with him at different levels for the national team as well as at Darren Tornadoes. You're together as well at Darren T?
Yeah, we started playing together under 16.
Yeah, under 16. So he's a player you know very well, or a manager you know very well, or coach as we call them here in Zimbabwe. Tell us a bit more about Norman and his way of thinking and that competitive edge that he's famous for.
Yeah, Norman has always been competitive. You know, I started playing against him at the under 14 level when he was playing for Red Arrows. I was at Chitungwiza Youth Stars, and we used to beat them. Yeah, and
also you had to throw that in there.
I don't know if he's listening. He knows that one time we beat them 4-0 at Chibugu Stadium. But having said that, he's a winner. You could actually tell because you could actually tell he wanted to cry. When he loses, he wants to cry, and when he wins, he's the happiest man. He is laughing at everything. So it's in him that he wants to win at all times. Now, when he wants a player, that's what he wants. When we are losing, you can actually see the emotions that are not. Norman would actually start directing traffic on the field. He started coaching as a player. Honestly,
let's be fair.
He was already coaching. You could actually tell because he would actually give instructions.
There's actually one other player, Barry, who had the same qualities, and I'm just surprised that he hasn't gone on to be a coach, and that is Lovemo Ncube, who developed quite a reputation as well when he was in high school, of actually at times telling the teacher to say to
let me take this halftime talk.
I'm going to organize the team, set up the team for the second half, and then move forward. So I was a bit surprised that Lovemo Majens didn't kick on and become a coach, or at least, we're not hearing anything of that. And Barry, the reason I asked Alois that is that Norman Mapeza wouldn't have returned to FC Platinum if he didn't see potential to win in that squad. He believes that there's something there that can see them reach that grade that we discussed with Chris, which is the knockout stages.
Absolutely, and each of us have spoken to him since returning to FC Platinum in different lights. And the one thing that he continues to say is that he's okay with the squad that's there. He thinks that there's something that he can work with, and so that already is a sign of a coach who had a plan before he even arrived at FC Platinum. I'm sure by the time he left Chippa, he knew that if I get an opportunity to go back to FC Platinum, based on what is happening there, I think there is an opportunity for me to do something with the squad that is there. So consequently, and even when you look from the outside, these are good players, okay? You've got players there that know what they're doing. All you need is the tactical acumen to set them up. In Zimbabwean parlance, we say Kumisa Zvidori Zvako, and Norman knows how to do that. Once they get the style of play, I'm sure they'll be fine.
And they certainly will be fine. And of course, the winners of this clash are set to face the winner of the match between Nigeria's Plateau United and Simba of Tanzania in the first round. Simba carry a 1-0 advantage from their win away in Nigeria last weekend. And Chris, this one could be tricky in that, let's just say FC Platinum advance and then they play Simba. We don't have home advantage per se because one, FC Platinum is not playing in Zishavane at Mandava. Secondly, there are no fans being allowed in at the National Sports Stadium, and yet in Tanzania we are seeing full stadiums. And so Simba know that they've got a 60,000 strong crowd that's going to show up and back them when they play FC Platinum. And this is working against Platinum if they qualify, isn't it?
It's definitely working against FC Platinum. And in addition to the fact that you have these 60,000 fans, the Tanzanian league has been going for some time. So these are teams that have already been sharpened to some extent. Coming against an FC Platinum, yes, they managed to perform against Mozambique, but I think Simba is going to be a significantly more difficult challenge for them.
All right, just going to our WhatsApp platform. That number to get us on is 0731168045. That's 0731168045. There are a couple of predictions coming through. A few predictions, not a couple. Marvelous Chiyangwa in Gweru says FC Platinum to win by 2-1 in the second leg. I think FC Platinum will win 3-0. That's Nyasha Chimombe from Bare. And then Rich Gamba. Oh no, Rich Gama. Rich Gamba is a sentence. It's a description, isn't it? Rich Gama in DZ says 2-1 to FC Platinum. 1 goal from Songani.
Yeah, Norman Mapesa touched a very important aspect of the game about free kicks and all. So when they say they want to progress further in the African safari, I still want to see action. We talked about it, the Arsenal. He is very much aware of what free kicks can do to his team. What are we doing about it? What Arsenal are we bringing? I want to see FC Platinum bringing in players that are actually going to help them compete and go further in Africa. That's what, like a big African striker that can compete, two big defenders or a big defensive midfield, something that to show up his team so that they can actually go further and compete with the kind of Gift Bello, yes, good player, and the kind of players we already know. But those disadvantages are going to hurt them when you go further into the competition.
Louis, I just want to say that I think that De Jong was on his way there, because I've had a look at this Ilunga boy from DRC. He's a big striker. He's quick. He's very able. The boy who scored the winner in Mozambique, Mugari.
Elias Mugari.
From Tanzania. Again, big, strong striker.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah.
The issue now, centre half. That's where they have a problem. And Gift Bello's a good ball player.
Very good ball player.
But he's short.
Okay, so questions around the FC Platinum and whether they do have a squad that can compete in the latter stages of the CAF Champions League. Right now, perhaps good enough to beat the likes of Costa Do Sol from Mozambique. Simba will certainly be a tough ask in the next round, should they get there. And then it will even be tougher in the group stages, where the likes of Al Ahly, the likes of Zamalek, the likes of Etoile du Sahel, the likes of Wydad Casablanca will be waiting. But for this weekend, we wish FC Platinum all the best. This is it, ZiFM Sport. I was going to say this is FC Platinum. This is ZiFM Sport on a Fire Friday, and we get the party started right here on your favorite sports show.
Hi, I'm Clemens Matau, chicken in midfielder. You're listening to ZiFM Sports.
All right, let's give you a local sports news roundup, starting with swimming, where young swimmer Michaela Makwabarara says she is pleased with her achievement after she set the bar high by breaking a long-standing 100-meter freestyle record. Makwabarara's 1 minute 0.3.97 seconds.
Jacob Zuma, is that you? Is that you?
It is.
All
All right, listen carefully, listen properly. 1 minute 3.97 seconds. New record. Broke Kirsty Coventry's time of 1 minute .4. All right. Kirsty Coventry's time was 1 minute 4.34 seconds, which was set in 1995. The swimmer broke the record at Les Brown during a Harare province meet, where a couple of national records as well as several Harare records were broken. The records are subject to ratification. On to netball news, which doesn't have any times. Praise God. England-based Gems captain Felicitas Kwangwa is ecstatic about her new Gilbert Netball ambassadorial role. Kwangwa signed a 1-year contract with the biggest netball sportswear and equipment company based in the United Kingdom. As part of her endorsement deal, Kwangwa will receive Gilbert Netball clothing, footwear, equipment, and a signature ball designed by her. The goal defense player signed a 1-year contract with Surrey Storm ahead of next year's Netball Super League. Now, this is a big thing, and it's congratulations to Felicitas Kwangwa getting that endorsement deal from Gilbert's. We wrap it up with athletics news, where hope and determination remain key elements for sprinter Ngoni Makusha in his pursuit of a Tokyo Olympics rescheduled for next year. The Harare-based athlete is one of several hopefuls the National Athletics Association of Zimbabwe, the NAAZ, are banking on to qualify for the global showcase. After months of inactivity, he took part at the Interprovincial Championships in Bulawayo recently and came first in the 200 meters event in 20.85 seconds. I got that one. Get in. Although he was content with the outcome, he is aware he needs to take his game to the next level, with the qualifying time for the 200 meters set at 20.24 seconds for men.
It's not Christmas on ZiFM Stereo without Takura.
Yo, what's up, Zimbabwe? My name is Takura. Right now, you're listening to ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
It's not Christmas on ZiFM Stereo without Tammy Moyo.
What up, everybody? This is Tammy, and you're listening to ZiFM Stereo, the home of happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
We play hits like this.
Why you always in the mood?
Turn it up.
Like I'm brand new. I ain't trying to tell you what to do, but try to play cool.
And this. And this.
From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
Remember, league football in Europe is back this weekend, starting tonight with the English Premier League. We'll be building up to that in the second half of the show, so don't miss out. But first, let's go international with our sports news. The inaugural Nations Cup, this is of course rugby. The inaugural Nations Cup is set for a thrilling conclusion as the tournament's only two unbeaten teams, England and France, clash in the final on Sunday. England and France have risen as the current giants of Europe, putting together displays of strength and competence that have seen them tick off a trio of victories in as many outings. Ahead of Sunday's final, England coach Eddie Jones is expecting a dominant performance from his side.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to congratulate the organisers of the tournament. I think they've done a fantastic job. To put a tournament on in such difficult circumstances is quite a feat, and it's been good competitive rugby, and we're pleased to be in the final, but there's one game to go. How would we like to play? We'd like to dominate France. How we do that will be dependent on what sort of game it is. So we can't control what sort of game it is. But just looking at rugby at the moment, it is certainly a tough physical game, and it's a real game for the purists at the moment. It reminds me a lot of going back to 2007 World Cup, where defences were predominant. Kicking was one of the major ways to get ahead in the game. And so we go through these periods of the game, and the next cycle is always an attacking cycle. So let's enjoy the defensive cycle that we've got at the moment and look forward to the attacking cycle when it comes.
The voice there of Eddie Jones, the England gaffer. And in truth, the way we sort of couched this story, it gives a bit of a false picture, doesn't it, Mike? Because we talk about them both being unbeaten in this tournament. But if you go back to February, France had the wool over England in the Six Nations.
Yeah, absolutely. But the only problem, I think, is that France are coming into this game having to make a number of changes. I think they'll have about 6 or 7 or 8 players that are missing from that team that beat England quite convincingly and impressively at the start of Six Nations rugby. And so I expect England to win this particular game versus France, but it will be no indicator as to where the teams really stand in the grand scheme of things. And for me, it's just, I watch these games and I really find zero entertainment value in Northern Hemisphere. And I'm being serious. Northern Hemisphere rugby, it can be a bit boring. It can be a bit too structured. It can be a bit too rigid. It's all about the physicality. And to be honest, they seem to come up with more and more ways or invent more and more tactics to stifle creativity.
Right.
And so it's very rare that you see those really exciting line breaks, that you see those moves coming off a set piece at the back of the scrum, that you see off the line out, that you see a lot of in Southern Hemisphere rugby. And so that's why for me this tournament is happening, but the real rugby fans, to be honest, are not really paying attention.
And this tournament, in truth, and Mike has taken us on a bit of a rabbit trail, Chris, but in truth, let's follow it. Let's go down it, because the Nations Cup was formed almost as a fill-in tournament for the outgoing tours, where we always at the end of the year see the challenge between Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere. Now, with travel restrictions, obviously with the pandemic, we needed to fill the gap, and they filled it with this tournament. And in truth, it has failed to light it up.
It has failed to light it up. I'm sure a lot of rugby fans are not necessarily paying attention, not as much attention as they would be paying to the rugby that's happening in the Southern Hemisphere. Right. Your New Zealand and Australia and the Pumas as well. Yep. Those are the kind of games that people will be following. This, I think you'd have to be a really staunch rugby fan to be extremely interested in the rugby that's happening in Europe at the moment.
And I think the other thing that also happened is that it came hot on the heels of them completing the Six Nations.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there seemed to be no break, and it was like, oh,
it was like the next week virtually.
yeah, are we having another Six Nations? What is this particular tournament? I take a look at cricket where tours are happening.
Yeah.
Okay. So India is in Australia. West Indies is in New Zealand. We saw Australia go to England. Why can't rugby teams tour?
Yeah.
You're talking about this tournament having replaced the outbound tours. Why didn't they just say, okay, hang on. We know that the Tri-Nations is going to finish a bit later on. We can still have rugby played. We can still have New Zealand come over to the Northern Hemisphere. Maybe not play 4 games, but play a couple of games.
Yeah.
Have Australia come over, play a couple of games. Have the Pumas come over, play a couple of games. I think that would have been of more interest to rugby fans.
Yeah, it's always interesting when the Southern Hemisphere lines up against the Northern, because as Mike Bowie pointed out, the Northern Hemisphere is very physical and there's a lot of flair in the Southern Hemisphere. So always very, very interesting when the two
Who wants to watch Georgia?
Let me say to everybody, no hands went up in the studio to that question. So after completely decampaigning this tournament, the final is taking place on Sunday, but there's more rugby you can look forward to this weekend as well. Tri-Nations rugby, which is a lot more entertaining. Australia take on the Pumas of Argentina, and then in South Africa it's the Currie Cup time, where the Pumas take on the Griquas. It's the Bulls versus the Cheetahs. The Lions will take on the Stormers.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Z.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off in Australia, where concussion substitute Yuzvendra Chahal took 3 crucial wickets as India beat Australia by 11 runs to win the opening T20 at the Manuka Oval in Canberra. Chahal came into the side after batting hero Ravindra Jadeja was ruled to have suffered concussion when he was hit on the helmet during his match, turning 44 not out. Chahal then took key wickets of Australian captain Aaron Finch, Steve Smith and Matthew Wade as Australia fell short in the run chase. We'll head over to England, where boxing promoter Eddie Hearn says Tyson Fury should be coming to Anthony Joshua versus Kubrat Pulev to resurge his British heavyweight rival. Unified champion Joshua defends his WBA, IBF and WBO belts against Bulgarian Pulev next weekend, and victory could set up a massive showdown with WBC title holder Fury next year. We'll touch down in Bahrain, where George Russell believes he has the hardest shoes ever to fill by standing in for Lewis Hamilton in the World Championship winning Mercedes at the Sakir Grand Prix. The 22-year-old Briton, who has only previously raced for Williams towards the back of the field in the sport, is yet to score a point, and he's vowed to take a step-by-step approach over the race weekend to build up his confidence.
All the rivalry.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
All the stars.
Back heels Liverpool 2 in front. Talk about impudence. Talk about improvisation. Talk about Sadio Mane.
And all the game-changing moments.
And Raheem Sterling rattles it home. And once more, City are in front in a trice.
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
I did say there's a big game in the English Premier League, and it's the North London derby. It's Arsenal taking on Jose Mourinho's Tottenham Hotspur, and Mourinho says that his 100% managerial home record against the Gunners means nothing as his Spurs side prepare to face their North London rivals on Sunday. The Spurs boss has hosted Arsenal a total of 10 times as manager of Chelsea, Manchester United and Tottenham, and has never tasted defeat, winning 6 and drawing 4 of those encounters. And now, ahead of the clash on Sunday, football pundit Stephen Nicol says that Tottenham have the edge over Arsenal in light of Mikel Arteta's struggles with his squad.
Arteta is struggling right now to sort it out. You know, when he went in there, he got them in a good defensive shape, and they broke. That only lasted for 6 months. Since this season started, they kind of look as though they've had enough of that, but they don't have the players to change it. So Arsenal is probably the hardest one of all. Other than a huge overhaul of the playing staff, right now there are so many things wrong. It's difficult to where you start. I guess where you start is getting them back to the attitude they had when Arteta went through the door.
Z.
Well, he believes that Spurs have the advantage, Chris, and you've got to say on form. And taking a look at the log standings, Spurs sitting proudly on top of the English Premier League, and Arsenal having to suffer the indignity of being in mid-table.
They're sitting in mid-table at the moment, and this is after...
And that's putting it nicely.
They're putting it nicely.
In the bottom half of the table.
We had seen something in Arsenal, I think, towards the end of last season, beginning of this season, and I think Arsenal was quite hyped up. Where they're sitting at the moment is just indicative of the fact that Arsenal still have a long way to go. I think what we're seeing on the other side is that Tottenham have almost clicked. Mourinho's found a formula that works with that team. They believe in his methods, and it's starting to show. So completely different sides for these two teams.
Barry, David Seaman, a former Arsenal goalkeeper, okay, legendary goalkeeper, one of the best that we've seen in English football. He is backing his former club to beat Spurs, okay? Contrary to Chris's opinion, contrary to Steve Nicol, and contrary to a lot of people out there who see Spurs as the better team. He says that they should get the job done, but he doesn't see them keeping a clean sheet.
It's going to be determined by the match plan. Arsenal is well capable of beating Tottenham. Whether they will or not is going to be determined by the match plan. And for me, there's one central piece. In offense, they've got to get past Sissoko. In defense, they've got to shut Ndombele down. Ndombele has the most dribbles of all Tottenham players. He's the one who they offload to and then expect to subtract before he makes that penultimate pass before they get into the incision zone. So for me, if they shut down those two players in offense and defense, they got a chance.
How key is it that Thomas Partey, who's being talked about as being in contention for a return, how key is it that he's available?
Critical. The two players I spoke about are midfielders for Tottenham. That midfield of Arsenal is lightweight without Thomas Partey. If he's in it, they've got to shout, because then offensively, they've got somebody, well, defensively, they're able to shut Tottenham down and begin to play. And Thomas Partey can play that role.
One of the things that we've seen about Spurs, Alois, and you'll be happy about this because you were a striker and you loved scoring goals. Spurs are scoring goals, plenty of goals, and that's mainly because of Son and Harry Kane. Harry Kane is an injury concern, and if he's missing, that could be a big blow for Spurs.
Yeah, it could be a big blow for Spurs, Mike, because usually goals are scored through combinations. You know, those guys have found each other. You know, they actually have a repertoire that is actually working well. Sometimes you don't know who is playing as a target man, who is behind. They're actually interchanging so easily, you know, and they're doing it very well, and the goals are coming in easily as well. So if he doesn't make it, then it can be a problem. But if he does make it, then it's going to be a very big problem for Arsenal, because when those guys are on song, then they are going to score. That's why Dave Seaman doesn't see them keeping a clean sheet, because he knows that they are capable of scoring goals.
Which player over your career did you enjoy your best partnership with?
Definitely. Definitely it has got to be Stuart.
It has to be Stuart. Now, the reason why I'm asking is, was it because of the natural chemistry you guys had, or was it something that Kwashi was able to put together? What made it work for you two?
I think it was the natural chemistry. It was not anything to do with Kwashi. Kwashi just took a pairing that was already in sync, and just, you know, I knew exactly what Stuart was going to do with the ball. As soon as he starts running, I would know his definite run, that if he's touching the ball this way, he's going to do that this way. If he is going to just take a run this way, I knew exactly what his next move was. It was just so instinctive that I would know where to go, knowing that I'm going to meet his ball there. I wouldn't even support him, because I would push up borders with a leg over. Because that guy is beaten. So what I must do, I must just go into the box and make my run diagonal so that he can cross it for me. And he already knew as well that if I go this way, I'm gonna cross, Gas is gonna meet it that way. I think that is what Tottenham has found in Song and Kane.
That's what I was going to say, that it looks like they found a combination that is working. It looks almost instinctive. Alois is talking about he knew what Shuto was going to do even before he started doing it, and we are seeing that again, where sometimes Son will start making the run whilst Harry Kane is still driving with the ball, and then the pass comes and it comes exactly with the right weight and in the right area, and that is why their combination that is working. I'm going to ask you guys your predictions a bit later on, but I just want to give the rest of the fixtures in the English Premier League. Aston Villa versus Newcastle United, which was supposed to be on tonight, has been postponed after Newcastle United were hit hard by the coronavirus this past week, unable to train, and so that clash has been postponed. The other fixtures are Burnley versus Everton. Manchester City will host Fulham. West Ham versus Manchester United. Chelsea versus Leeds United could be a good encounter, that one. West Brom versus Crystal Palace. Sheffield United, the Blades take on Leicester City. Liverpool entertain Wolves at Anfield. And of course, the big game that we were talking about, Spurs versus Arsenal. Now, your predictions, starting with you, Baz?
I am going to go for a... look, I don't like sitting on the fence, but I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw, Chris?
2-1 to Tottenham.
2-1 to Tottenham, Bunch?
I would like Arsenal to get something out of this because I like Arteta. I'm actually feeling sorry for him. He's under fire right now. So I hope I'll be praying for him. He will get a 2-2 draw.
You'll get a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, 2-2
because
draw
Bunch
After
is...
your prayers.
Yeah,
Yes.
because Bunch is praying for him, okay? And captain's pick, Chris?
No, we haven't heard your prediction, brother.
Listen, I'm going to go with... I'm with Chris. I think 2-1 to Tottenham.
Spurs.
They should win. And Chris, I'm going to ask you, captain's pick. Who should we pick, okay? There are lots of people out there who are playing fantasy football, lots of guys on the Z Fantasy League. Who should we give the armband to this coming match day?
First of all, I'm going to put a disclaimer and say that my fantasy is in shambles. But my captain's pick, I'm going to go with Sergio Aguero. They are going up against Fulham, and I fancy that they'll be able to do the business, and Sergio Aguero scores goals.
Let's hope that what's his name, Guardiola, doesn't surprise us and keeps
That's the problem
altogether.
That's the so I would agree with the Man City pick. I would probably go KDB.
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 I think if you want the money, go for Son.
Go for Son. You think he's going to score
those 2 goals he's going to score.
There could be a blank game that North London derby.
That game is going to produce a lot of goals.
Horsepower unmatched. Torque to beat the best. Speed unrivaled. Sleek and easy on the eye. Let's get behind the wheel of football engineered to perfection. The Bundesliga, made in Germany.
We talked at the top of the show about that top of the table clash where Bayern Munich take on RB Leipzig tomorrow night, and it could prove decisive in terms of the title picture. League leaders Bayern have a 2-point cushion over their forthcoming opponents at the top of the table. A draw on Saturday would be enough to keep them there. Now, German football pundit Archie Reintut believes RB Leipzig are a threat for Bayern Munich.
For Leipzig to continue establishing themselves in Germany, they need to be challenging Bayern at the top. And they're 2 points off them right now. And that's after having lost Timo Werner and Patrick Schick from last season. Alexander Zurlot, their multi-million euro signing, 20 million euros he cost them, had not been firing at all until scoring the winner for them away against Başakşehir. So I think that's a boon for Leipzig, that to have that kind of relief off his back going into this game. I don't know whether Zurlot will start, but the way that they are attacking right now, they're creating chances, they're able to box in their opponents, and I think that the fact that Bayern rested 9 players during the week against Atletico Madrid shows you, or made 9 changes even, shows you just how seriously Bayern are taking this threat that Leipzig will offer.
Bunj, a couple of things, because we have to look at form going into this game. In the Bundesliga, RB Leipzig looking good, but in midweek we probably asked a few questions, especially with their capacity to concede against the Turkish side, Istanbul Başakşehir.
I don't know, man. If they bring a team and play the way they played against the Istanbul team, and then they're gonna get whacked. They're gonna get hammered. They'll get hammered. Look, Bayern Munich. We know they can score goals. Lewandowski probably back because he was rested. He was rested. He's gonna be fresh. He's coming back in, hungry for goals. And with the way that RB Leipzig played against I don't win at all.
Don't worry, Istanbul.
Istanbul. Yeah, let's just say the way they played, they were lukewarm. They were like laid back, and they were getting knocked down like the they were not solid. Like they were like absent-minded kind of thing. So they need to be very alert when they play against Bayern Munich, because Bayern Munich can knock the ball around and can make you even more dizzy.
Yeah, the go forward ability of Bayern Munich, Chris, you probably expect that the defense of RB Leipzig that we saw can concede goals will be seriously tested, and Julian Nagelsmann will have to have found an answer between the Champions League game and tomorrow night.
Hopefully he's seen what the problem areas are and he can make some tweaks, because what we know about Bayern Munich is that when it comes to scoring goals, they've got multiple players at a time who can score goals. So if it's not Lewandowski, it's someone else, and the goals, they can go up to 6 goals with a team and they keep going forward. So if defensively RB Leipzig shows up like they did during this week, then there's going to be a lot of goals that are going to be conceded.
For Bayern Munich, their midweek fixture didn't go as according to plan, because yes, fine, it looked like they were resting players, but they ended up with a 1-1 draw, which they needed a last minute penalty to gain. So they themselves will be sort of working hard for this game.
But it was a game that wasn't important, Barry. It was a game that was important to Atletico Madrid, but not so important to Bayern, because they'd already secured top spot in the end. It was the perfect opportunity to rest the likes of Lewandowski, the likes of their goalkeeper Neuer as well.
And some players switch off as well.
And sometimes, players do that. Job is done. They don't play with the same level of intensity. I expect Bayern Munich to be back at their best, because they know that, we can strike an early blow in the race for the title. We beat RB Leipzig. We create a bit of a buffer between ourselves and the teams in second and third. And then it should be smooth sailing. Bayern Munich just have to target the games versus Leipzig and versus Borussia Dortmund. They win those 2 games back to back. Those 2 encounters back to back. That guarantees them the title. For those teams to win the Bundesliga, they're going to have to beat Bayern Munich. That's the only way they close the gap.
So how does it play out, Mike?
I think Bayern Munich, I give them this one 3-1.
3-1, Chris?
I'm with Mike, 3-1.
I'm going with the same scoreline.
3-1. I'm actually going to go 3-0. I think they can be able to blank
him out.
RB Leipzig. The rest of the weekend fixtures in the Bundesliga. Hertha Berlin takes on Union Berlin in a Berlin derby. Cologne takes on Wolfsburg. Arminia Bielefeld takes on Mainz. Eintracht Frankfurt versus Borussia Dortmund. Freiburg entertain Borussia Mönchengladbach, while Werder Bremen take on Stuttgart. Schalke 04 take on Bayer Leverkusen. And like we said earlier, Bayern Munich will be entertaining RB Leipzig.
The league that makes football oh so beautiful, where artistry and strokes of genius are the order of any day, where the game is played with a smile and the little master creates his magic. All the news from the Spanish La Liga on ZiFM Sport.
Real Madrid is going to attempt to bounce back from successive defeats when they travel to Andalusia to face Sevilla tomorrow afternoon. Zinedine Zidane's side, currently 4th, have lost their last 2 matches to Alaves and Shakhtar Donetsk, while 5th place Sevilla will also enter the game off the back of a disappointing result, having suffered a 4-0 defeat to Chelsea in the Champions League. Alois, Real Madrid need to bounce back at some point. Is it a realistic proposition that they're going to come against a very confident Sevilla side coming off the back of several wins, and this is the team that they'll be able to bounce back against?
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, I'm a Madrid fan, but I don't see that happening. Look at the teams that they're losing: Alaves, Shakhtar Donetsk, and then they're not facing Sevilla. It's going to be a mountain to climb. And you imagine. Now when you look at the caliber of the opponent now, it's not going to be easy, because it's not just the losses, it's the way they're losing. There's no life. There's no life in that team. I was talking about Galacticos. There's no Galactico anymore. You look at the team, it was like, is this Real Madrid? I was shocked against Shakhtar Donetsk. That's not Real Madrid. And if they play like that against Sevilla, there's no way bouncing back. I'm sorry.
We're not going to even take predictions on this one, but the rest of your La Liga fixtures: Athletic Club versus Celta Vigo, Levante will be up against Getafe, Atletico Madrid versus Real Valladolid, Cadiz versus Barcelona, Granada will be up against Huesca, Osasuna at home to Real Betis, Villarreal versus Elche, Alaves will be up against Real Sociedad, and that big one, Sevilla versus Real Madrid.
There's also action in Italy, and here are your fixtures. Spezia takes on Lazio, Juventus and Torino in the Turin derby. Inter Milan versus Bologna, Verona versus Cagliari, Parma versus Benevento. Atalanta make the trip to Udinese, whilst Crotone host Napoli. AC Milan is on the road to Sampdoria, whilst Roma entertains Sassuolo. And there's also action in France. Your key fixtures in Ligue 1 are Nimes versus Marseille, Montpellier versus PSG, Reims versus Nice, and Metz versus Olympique Lyon.
All right, so let's wrap it up with a look at the DStv Premiership. Just your fixtures. Orlando Pirates travel to Cape Town, to the mother city, to take on Cape Town City. Mamelodi Sundowns will be taking on Maritzburg United. They are away to Maritzburg United. And if you're looking for Kaizer Chiefs, they've got a Champions League fixture on this weekend. So they won't be performing in the DStv Premiership.
How about Chakuma?
My favorite always ends. It's the last one. Chakuma Chamadzivandila takes on Amazulu. All right, we gotta go. We'll catch you on Monday for our review show. So don't miss that one. 6:05, right here on ZiFM Stereo. For now, may God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manandi, out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.